Greetings, Earthling reader friends. Today I'm going to be telling you 10 novels that you can read around Halloween because they're really freaking awesome. So first off, we have Dracula. One of my favorite books, probably because it's just perfection in a horror genre. I mean, it's like the original horror genre. It's by Bram Stoker, and it is fabulous. I've read it about 4 times, probably. I've only read it once for school. The other times I was just reading it for fun, and it because it's so worth it. It's like, it's that creepy, and it's chilling, it's scary, it's gothic horror. So Bram Stoker did a freaking awesome job with this book. So basically it is about a man named Jonathan Harker who goes to Transylvania to meet with a Count Dracula up in his castle, and when he goes to Transylvania, all the people that are in this town are trying to avoid his destination, and they won't take him all the way to the castle, and that is because of something. The next book we have is one that made me severely uncomfortable when I was reading it. I read it on vacation, which I do not recommend because it will ruin your vacation. But I do recommend the book. Just don't read it while you're trying to have a good time because you will be like constantly on edge. And this is Thomas Harris's Red Dragon, which is the start of the Hannibal Lecter series, which is a really, really good horror series. I mean, it's awesome. They made a TV show out of it. Red Dragon is the last couple episodes of the TV show, if you watch that on NBC. And it is a fabulously creepy book. It's a perfect introduction to Hannibal Lecter, and it's better if you go into it not knowing what it's about. Like, that's what I did, and I've talked to other people about this. It is better if you go into Red Dragon not knowing what it's about, because then it makes all the twists and turns even more substantial and scarier. So yeah, so that's all I'm going to tell you. It's the perfect start to a series. Third, this one I actually just read for spooky season, and I'm recommending it because I thought it was that good. Usually I don't recommend books till I've read them like once or twice. Usually I don't recommend books until I've read them like 3 or 4 times. But this one I've only read once, and I'm recommending it. That is Come Closer by Sarah Gran. I read this at a doctor's office in one sitting. Okay, it took me about 45 minutes to get through, and it's like 150 pages. It's not that bad because it moves so quickly. Like, things go from 0 to 60 in the first 6 pages. It's like, it gets intense. It is about a woman who is slowly becoming possessed, and she becomes more and more possessed throughout the novel, and it really creeped me out. This, I have to give it its props. It was really good. So yes, Come Closer by Sarah Gran. It is odd. It's a slow burner after the initial possession. It's more unsettling than anything else. Next we have The Special Ones by M. Bailey. Another one that I only read for spooky season. I found this at my library, and it was in the new and recommended section, and I was like, okay, I'll try it. It was really good for a YA horror mystery novel thing. I don't know if it's mystery or horror, but it was really good. It was creepy, it was eerie, it was kind of like a cult-like feel. It was very disturbing, interesting characters. There was a lot of like psychological stuff that went into the book. And its 3 characters are monitored by him. That's all we get. And they're on this isolated area, and they're monitored by him, and stuff happens. I don't know how to describe the book without giving too much away. But that's really all I can give you because I don't want to spoil anything for it, because it is really worth the read. Next we have dun-da-da-da, Stephen King. I was gonna have to put a Stephen King on this list. I mean, there was no getting out of it. So I chose one of my favorite Stephen King books, which is Misery, because I am a writer, and the main character in this book is a writer. He's a very damaged writer after this book, but he is a writer. It is gut-wrenching. It is horrifying. It is violently scary. It's very violent at parts, and that's part of the reason that it makes it scary, but it's also like intense. So if you're not comfortable with that, I definitely don't recommend reading it. But if you like intense and violently scary, then this one's for you. Number 6, we have The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. So you might be asking, why did I put this on this list and not on the short stories list that I did last time? And that is because I'm counting this as a novel. I know it's only 80 pages. It could be a novelette, a novella, flash fiction. But I'm counting it as a novel, complete and unabridged, and it's only 80 pages. Yeah, so Legend of Sleepy Hollow is creepy. It is awesome for Halloween. It's great for campfires. But yeah, it's a really good, it's classic. Everybody knows the Headless Horseman, but you might not know the story of the Headless Horseman. So this is a really good read, especially for kids. This is great. If you want to creep your kids out, I totally recommend reading them this before they go to bed. I'm going to be a horrible parent. Number 7 is The Killer Inside Me by Jim Thompson. So I just read this book, actually. This is another one that I just read. So that's 3 that I just read that I'm recommending. Totally good for Halloween. This is not supernatural, so if you're not into supernatural, then maybe you'd like this one better. It is about a police officer who is a serial killer, and after you read it, make sure you come back and look at my review that I did. It'll probably be over here somewhere, or over there, somewhere in the recommended. I don't know. But I did a review on this book, and it was really freaking good. Okay, it is worth the read. Just for the ending, it is worth the read. I definitely recommend it. It is unsettling, disturbing, not overly violent. It's not really graphic. 8. Now this one's not really scary. It's not meant to be scary, and I get that. But I'm putting it on this list because it involves vampires. And it's historical fiction, but alternative historical fiction because it includes vampires. And that is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Vampire Hunter. Yeah, I always get that wrong. I always say Vampire Slayer because I'm a huge Buffy fan. So I always say Vampire Slayer. It's Vampire Hunter. I read this as a freshman, and since then, I think I have read it 3 more times. So that I read it, yeah, so I've read it every year since I was a freshman. It is good. It is the best vampire book I have ever read. Way better than any other vampire book I've ever read. The vampires in here are way cooler than in other books. They're a lot more advanced, and since it's historical, it gives them a different aspect. I mean, Dracula's great too. Dracula's a great portrayal of vampires too. In my opinion, I like this one better, and it's Abe Lincoln training and becoming a vampire hunter while he's going through the presidency. Isn't that cool? Don't you want to read about that? That's awesome. And this is also by the guy, cool fact, this is by the guy who wrote Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is one of my other favorite books because I love Jane Austen. And I've read every Jane Austen book. And he wrote Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, and he wrote this. And it's really awesome. It's by Seth Grahame-Smith. Yeah, Seth Grahame-Smith. Next, we have my favorite book of all time. It's literally my favorite book of all time because I think it's freaking awesome. It is perfection in the mystery genre. And that is Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. Now, you can say what you want about Miss Agatha Christie, but she is perfection. Or at least some of her books are perfection. They are really good. Because this book, a lot of people have tried to pull it off. Like, I've read a lot of YA renditions that are similar to the plot. I've seen movies that are similar to this plot, and nothing will beat this original. It'll take you, like, a day and a half to read because you're not going to be able to put it down. I mean, it's slow starts in the beginning, but once stuff starts happening and once stuff hits the fan, it's like, whoa. So yeah, totally. And then there were None by Agatha Christie. I really recommend it. It's got a lot of interesting themes in it. It has an interesting ending, which is not like Agatha Christie's other books. It's got an interesting ending, but this is definitely my favorite book of all time. Lastly, we have the final This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. As you can see, I'm currently rereading it because I'm buddy reading it with a friend. She's never read it before, so I decided to buddy read it with her and do a reread because Our Dark Duet I haven't read yet, and I want to like refresh my memory before I read Our Dark Duet. This is a fabulous book. It takes place in a world where, in a city where monsters roam free, and there's 3 different kinds of monsters, and they're targeting humans, but there's like this criminal boss who can protect you kind of for the right price, and then our other main character is a monster. You know, for YA, I was surprised with how much I liked this book, actually, because I didn't think going in that I was gonna like it, to be honest. And I was pleasantly surprised with how good it was. I've already read it, and I'm rereading it, and I'm like, it's even better the second time around. There's a ton of action, not a lot of romance, which is like refreshing for a YA book, because YA books are usually like packed with romance. But this is refreshing that it's not. And the characters are very well developed, very complex, and yeah, I totally recommend it. Those are the novels that I'm going to recommend for this Halloween that you might want to check out your library or check out your local bookstore. Yeah, so catch you later.